on Pleistocene environment and Geoarchaeology of Maharashtra. And I would like to request Dr. Sheila Mishra, ma'am, to chair this session. The first paper will be presented by Mr. Mihir Tanksale on late Pleistocene geoarchaeology of the Ghod River, a tributary of Bhima, Upland, Deccan, Maharashtra, India.
Hello everyone. I am here to present. Hi and good afternoon to everyone. I am here to present on the topic of late Pleistocene geoarchaeology of the Ghod River. This was part of my MA dissertation. So coming to the study area, the Ghod River originates in the eastern part of the Sahyadri mountains, eastern part of the Western Ghats, and originating at the crest of Sahyadris and flows eastwards for about 200 kilometers before its confluence with Bhima, which is for which it is a major tributary. The drainage pattern, as you can see here, is dendritic, and the overall is confined to low alluvial, that is less than 20-meter alluvial or rocky terraces. For our study area, we have focused on the main trunk stream of the Ghod River and a small tributary known as River Ganga, which is around here. So talking about the previous work, the valley was extensively studied by MD Kazai as a part of his PhD thesis titled Bioarchaeology of the Ghod River, and the main data was published in 1973, in which this was one of the first multidisciplinary investigations in the valley, in which they did palynological analysis, paleontological analysis, and sedimentological analysis along with other things. And in this also cemented the idea of Ghod being a quite fossil-rich region, with one of the key fossils being a mandible of Hexaprodon paleoindicus, which was published in 1977 by Badam and Kazare. Later, G.L. Badam also worked in the valley extensively and published quite a lot of fossils from it, belonging to Elephas, Equus, Cervus, Sus, Leptobos, etc. And obviously, the valley is quite famous for its Chalcolithic sites of Chandoli and Inamgaon, with one of the key works being done at Inamgaon, where during the excavations, Rajguru et al. And Papu et al. In 1980s published lithic analysis of the Pleistocene artifacts found in the excavations. And in 2003, as Sheila ma'am talked about in her presentation, they also visited the site of Chandoli and few other localities in Ghod, and also gave us some dates along with the stratigraphic units. So this is the table of the dates obtained from the Ghod Valley. So one of them is from Bori, which is on tributary known as Kukdi. Ignoring that date, you can see that except for Nirgud Sir, which belongs to MIS 3, most of the dates belong to MIS 2. MIS2, and one date is from MIS1 at Inamgaon. So this is the map, location of sites on the map. So most of our work was focused on the upper reaches of the valley, but we also visited a locality in the middle reaches and some locality at the lower reaches, along with the three localities, which is this Hanga, Belvandi, Budruk and Yalpane, which are on the tributary known as River Hanga. So this is the close-up of the localities in the upper reaches that were covered. Out of these, Godegaon, Belvandi, and Katapur, Budruk and Lakangaon are new localities that was discovered during the study, our field work. So talking about the stratigraphic units that were observed in the valley, I would like to talk about the bedrock. So bedrock is mostly undulating Deccan trap basalt, obviously of Cretaceous Eocene age, and as observed at most of the localities, it is largely jointed basalt overlying a closely jointed one, and also there is presence of amygdaloidal basalt, which is traversed by bands of chalcedony, and a thick 1.5 meter a thin 1.5 meter dolerite intrusion was observed at various localities. The above photo is from Lakhanggaon and this is from Nirgudsar. When we recently visited Lakhanggaon, there's a lot new digging activity going on there because of they are building a new dam. So we also observed red ball, presence of red ball there. The first unit that we observed was this cobbly pebbly gravel, which was described by Rajguru and et al. And Papu et al. To have yielded Middle Paleolithic artifacts. But during our field studies, we did not find any artifacts coming out from this gravel. This is a very thick pebbly gravelly gravel. And this photo is from Inamgaon, where currently and it is in dumps because illegal sand mining activity is going on there. And this actually shows a low channel depth compared to the presence, and so possibly indicates that the river was flowing at a lower level than what its present channel is now. So this is the same cobbly pebbly gravel that we observed at other localities. This is from Bilsan Wadi and this is from Godegaon. So the second unit is the most interesting one. It is 10 to 11 meter thick, and even sometimes we have postulated it could be as thick as 14 meters thick silty deposit, which is calcareized and well laminated, and in some cases also has shown clayey nature. So this photo is from Chandoli. As you can see, it's a very thick silt deposit. So these are the other photos that we saw of the same silt, but it's only in Chandoli that we saw that the 10 to 11 meters thickness of the silt. In other localities, mostly 6 meters, 5 meters, 4 meters and something like that. And in Inamgaon, what we observed was there were actually what we can call two generations of this silt. The first of this silt unit is a highly calcareized brown silt, alternating with the gravel, which I'm going to talk about, which is our unit 3. And it's mainly affected by cumulative calcisol development. And the second is, which is at the bottom, is a unit weakly calcareized yellowish brown silt with fissuring. This is the third unit and the most important archaeologically. So this is the sandy pebbly gravel, which was found, which was most probably formed due to cut and fill activity in this deposited silt. And this gravel has yielded us the artifacts and fossils along with the bivalve shells. So this is the same gravel, as you can see. This is the silt, and it has intruded here. And this has yielded a fossil of Boss, and this is the same gravel from Chandoli. This is how we found the fossil. So this fossil was found by Dr. Jayendra and ma'am when they visited the site. So this is the fossil along with the microliths, as you can see, with the small arrows are pointing. And this is the fossil equid tooth that we found at Inamgaon in the same gravel. So talking about the artifacts in like the context of artifacts, all of the artifacts that we collected, we observe either were on surface collection or coming from this same gravel. And in some cases, the gravel was found directly cemented on the bedrock. As we can see here, this is a photo from Nirgudsar where this gravel was directly present on the bedrock. And you can see the artifacts are quite fresh as compared to other gravel. And this is something which is interesting, as this possibly indicates that there is very low transportation, or this may be a primary location. So currently we are resorting to call it a semi-primary context, as we cannot be sure if it is a primary or not. So based on those observations, this composite stratigraphy of the river can be formed. So the base is obviously the bedrock, out of which the cobbly pebbly gravel, originally we called it a non-artifact bearing cobbly pebbly gravel, but after reading the Inamgaon reports and all that, most probably the Middle Paleolithic artifacts that were talked about came from this. and very arbitrarily, the driftwood dating from Nirgudsar of 39,000 and 31,000 can be attributed to this Cobbly-Pibbly gravel. But again, it's a very arbitrary association, and we need more data and more dates from this to confirm it. It is then overlain disconfirmably by this compact yellow-brown silt, which has gone which possibly developed during the aggradation phase of late Pleistocene, and with two cut-and-fill sandy pebbly gravel with microliths, which has yielded microliths and fossil. One thing that is interesting is Sheila ma'am in her article talked about one more gravel unit which was atop, but during our visit to Chandole and even later, we didn't find a presence of third gravel. So that's something which is interesting, which we want to look into further during our field studies. So these were the fossils that we found in the valley. So this is the boss long bone, possibly a femur, and this is a boss tooth that was found at Pimpalgaon, Khadki, and this is the equid or horse teeth that we found in Amgaon. So coming to the lithic assemblage, so the total amount of artifacts we collected number 713, and out of that, the number that the artifacts which we can call formal type, that is they come under blades, flakes and borers, number 211. In this assemblage, the other thing is most of it is microlith, but however in some cases we have also found what we are currently calling a pre-microlithic technology or assemblage, but due to a very lack presence of it, and due to most of them not being from context, we have just clubbed them together to understand the typological presence in the valley. So the assemblage is dominated by blades and scrapers, and we also have 388 work, like most of them are flakes which have been retouched or worked upon, but cannot be characterized into a like, you can't call it scraper or a blade or something like, so we can't characterize it into a formal type. And we also have presence of blade and flake cores along with it. So talking about the raw material distribution in formal tools, most of the assemblage is dominated by chalcedony, presence of chalcedony. They had used chalcedony for it, with a significant amount of use of agate, along with noticeable presence of chert and cords. So these are the photos of the artifacts. So this here is a microblade core, and this is a flake core that was found, and the below two are microblades, which, and you can see they are quite this one is looks like it was made yesterday, and this has some like some smidges sign of weathering on it. So these were the borers that were found and burins from the assemblage. So the above two are lunates that we observe, and this is one of the artifacts that we were talking about, cannot be classified as microlith. It is quite large, around 5.5 centimeters long, and made of agate, and it's very unique, and thus this is one of the dilemmas that we are facing now in classifying the terminology of the valley. This is another point. So again, coming to the scrapers, these are again large, not microlithic scrapers, and one of them made on chert, and this is made on chalcedony. But you can see the blade technology presence here, as these primary flake scars are blade scars, microblade scars, and these bottom two are scraper cum borers. So these were the work flakes or nodules we were talking about. Most probably they are, or maybe they had some faults while napping or something and were rejected, or they had a purpose which we have yet to define. So this possibly was a scraper, but we cannot conclude it. But you can see the flake scars on it, and there has been small amount of retouch over here. In similar case, this is a flake which was possibly they were trying to make a burin out of it, and you can see two blade flake scars over here, but for some reason it was rejected, and the bottom two are debitage, small debitage flakes that we found. So this is the table of the assemblage of all of the sites that we found. Annapur, from most of the sites we only found a very small amount of flakes, and mostly were worked flakes. As you can see, most of the assemblage is worked flakes. However, the sites of Veerpane, Lakhangaon and Ghodegaon deserve a mention, as most of the artifacts from there are finished and very interesting. And you can see that most of them are again microblades are dominating the assemblage. So this is the reduction sequence of the artifacts, of the Ghod assemblage artifacts. So we have an absence of stage 1, as while Chalcedony, bands of Chalcedony were present, they were quite small. So again, all of these observations are based on a few field observations that were done during the pandemic. So we were quite limited at the time. So we did not find any raw material, as noticeable presence of raw material in the valley. So they could be possibly bringing it to the valley to nap these cores. However, provenance studies are needed for that, especially in the case of chert and quartz, because we did not find its presence in the gravel. But we have prepared core, non-cortical flakes, flake and blade cores, along with production of flake, blanks and all of these, and even some cases we have reuse of artifacts, along with the debitage. So to summarize, the river Ghod was flowing 2 to 3 meters below the present bed level prior to roughly 40,000 BP, as the Inamgaon observations from Inamgaon suggest. The 10 to 14 meter thick alluvial deposit represent major aggradational phase of the terminal Pleistocene. In this case, possibly which developed during as a response to the dry semi-arid phase. The microlith bearing sandy pebbly gravel is present at all sites. Necessarily, there not maybe 2 occurrences, only few sites such as Chandoli has 2 occurrences of the gravel, but almost in all of the sites we have this gravel, and this has yielded artifacts. And near channel facies are implied by the overlying and underlying brown fissured clay silt, and which indicates low depth and periodic channel drying. And on the whole, we can say that the Ghod basin has preserved 3 distinctive stable surfaces, which we have tentatively called S1, S2 and S3. So the S1 fill, which happened roughly between 40,000 to 25,000 BP, is represented by the yellow-brown concrete silts, which interlying with the pebbly and sandy gravels. It was most developed in the response with wet semi-arid climate, as gravel indicates high energy conditions. The T2 fill is yellowish brown calcareous well laminated clay silt, and was possibly happened between 25,000 to 13,000 BP, and this fill was identified with the semi-arid climate. The T3 fill is the black clay that was observed at Chandoli in Inamgaon, which is of Holocene period, and out of which the Chalcolithic settlements of Chandoli and Inamgaon were present. To conclude, most of the study was done again done during the pandemic. So there are a lot of questions that we still need to answer. For example, the presence of the thick presence of the silt is very interesting in the valley, and we are looking forward to do some microstructure analysis and all other analysis to understand its origin. Maybe it was a localized event, such as due to cloudburst or something like that, or deposition happened. And also we have no presence, at least in our field, we did not find any ostrich eggshells, which is again interesting, as Bori we have ostrich eggshells in Bori. But again, this is very arbitrary observations. I want to thank everyone who helped me in the field work, my seniors and friends, and Pankaj sir in helping me to identify the fossils. And I also want to thank Deccan College for giving me the opportunity to work on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mihir.
Yeah, thank you.
And you really stayed in the time. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So since you stayed in the time, I think we can have 1 or 2 questions. Please, from the audience, and take this microphone. Have worked in that area, and I think you have misunderstood some things, but I would rather discuss that with you directly.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah.
And but still, I think it's a very good beginning, and I hope that you'll continue working there. My main suggestion is, don't do so much, work everywhere. Find some site and just do work there. What is at that site? Like you're picked up things from everywhere. You're making all these things. Partly, there's been quite a lot of work there previous. Then little bit addition. And so it's just not. It's not coming together. So work in small parts, especially MA thesis.
Yeah.
more about less. That's my suggestion.
Sure, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
But otherwise, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.